Welcome to Querying Theology and Philosophy. And today we are going to focus on what is happening right now in the Catholic Church that has prompted us to think about sex and in religion and sex scandals in religion. Now, you know, the Catholic Church is going through, has always been going through cardinals that are suspended and priests that are rotated. So, but the question we need to ask ourselves: why are these scandals happening? Is there something wrong with the way the Catholic Church handles sex? I would say yes, there is something wrong. First of all, we have to look at what is the Catholic Church and what are other religions. You cannot really remove sex from religion, but you can remove religion out of sex. What I mean by that, there are some religions that do not have, I mean, you can have sex without being religious. That's what I mean, removing religion out of sex. Atheists have sex, agnostics have sex, pagans have sex, people who don't even have belief, even animals have sex. So you don't need religion to have sex. But sex is found in every religion. And some religions are anti sexual, and some religions are pro-sexual. And then some religions are selectively sexual, and others are. So you find like ism, pro-sexual religion. And why? The older the religion, the more sexual it is. That's my understanding. Even if you look at Judaism, the one that Jews are following, they are not following necessarily Judaism. Their Judaism of today is very modern day. That's why it's even called the ultra orthodox, the orthodox Jews, because Judaism was officially institutionalized after the destruction of Jerusalem. Before that, they had the Pharisees. Where are the Pharisees today? You don't see Pharisees. Where are the Sadducees? You don't see the Sadducees. Where are the Essenes? You don't see the Essenes. And so all of these sects that existed in the ancient past in Israel have disappeared. And it's only now they have revived the Sanhedrin and they've revived the Kohanim. Those are the priests, those who come from the line of Aaron. They are slowly reviving, but they haven't revived what you could call the Levitical priesthood that is being revived now in Israel, but in scanty ways. And for information, if Israel does revive the full Levitical priesthood and the Davidic worship, that is worship in the temple, the question will be, will they now do away with their laws? Because the laws of Israel are very modern. They are nowhere near Moses' laws. Only Sabbath and Kosher are recognized, and then the holidays, the Jewish holidays. So, anyway, what I'm just trying to say is that old religions were very pro sexual. And when it came to Christianity, there's something that happened. And Paul addressed sex in the church because sex has always been happening. As I've told you, whatever religion you are, there are homosexuals in every religion. There are heterosexuals in every religion. There are bisexuals in every religion. There are transgenders in every religion. It's because everybody is found in every religion. It's a fact. Why? It's universal. And so Paul had to deal with these issues. This is why Paul talks about homosexuality. Paul talks about premarital sex. Paul talks about marriage. Paul talks about celibacy. He talks about singlehood. Why? Because these people existed. And I like what Paul said when it came to issues to do with marriage, and which is one of the bases of the Catholic Church celibacy doctrine. Only that the Catholic Church is too strict on it. Paul was not so strict on it. Paul was liberal on the issue of marriage, and he said, "You are if you really want to be having sex, you should get married." That was Paul's wisdom. But then he also said that if you want to serve God and to serve the Lord, you don't need to marry. It's better you stay single, because when you're single you can focus on the things of God. But when you are married, you focus on the things of the world. You're concerned about money, taking care of your family, and paying the bills. You know, most married people are very immobile. They can't move around. Their focus is on family. But when you're single, you are able to do very many things. That's why if I'm to have a company, I would rather hire single people, because they are free, they are flexible, and they can focus on the work compared to married people. Married people have issues, like you see what happens in the world today. You have to give leave, the maternity leave, because the woman and the man who happen to be parents, they have to take care of their children in the first months of their birth. And so they have to take care of them, and then that means you have to give them leave. Now imagine if it's a worker who is very, very important to the business. It can slow down the business. So sometimes it's very good to balance the workforce by making sure you have single people and married people, so that in case the married people go on leave, you have the single people. And if you have single people who know what they're doing and they are very good at it, because when they are like that, it's good. You will not really feel the pinch even when some of your married employees are out. So basically, singlehood is very good, and I encourage it. And even whether you're going to be sexual or asexual in your singlehood, that's okay. For Paul, he was not prosexual, he was anti-sexual, or selectively prosexual. He only respected sex in marriage. He was not a supporter of premarital sex. And but I am different. I don't take Paul's stance, because when you look at reality, human beings have sex all the time, and human beings like having sex, whether it's amongst themselves when they're young or old. So that is, I'm more liberal. I belong to the sexual liberation movement. But now, let's go back to Paul. Now, Paul brought that rule, and it was a rule that was used by, it's what formed the monks and very many ascetics and many people who avoided sex so that they can focus on the things of God. And when the Catholic Church was established, they instituted celibacy. Now, I won't go into the history of celibacy. It's a very long and very weird history, because it was from there was another Roman cult that was non-Christian, that had celibate men who used to serve a goddess called Cybele. And they took a vow of celibacy, not to marry, but to serve the goddess. So that's why it was called Cybele. She was called Cybele. And she was a cube god. She was cubical, or she was staying in a cube. So now what happened is, if you understand the Catholic Church, it's they borrow everything from very many religions, and they try and amalgamate it into Christianity. And so that is one part they accepted. But remember, Paul already talked about being single and serving God. So they did that, and the next thing you know, you had now priests who do not marry and they take the vow of celibacy. Now, when you take the vow of celibacy, it means you don't marry and hence you don't procreate. Why? Because when you have children, you will be forced to switch your loyalty to your family, to take care of your family, rather than the work of God, which was the main thing why you're a priest. You're a priest to serve, and you're serving the ministry. Now, not all churches follow the Catholic Church. Reason being, celibacy is a very tough thing to follow. Human beings are naturally sexual. They love having sex. Sex is biological, and suppressing it takes a lot of um, mental strength. Yes, people who can do it, they are very stable mentally. They can control, and that's what I'm telling you. Like, the Catholic Church would hire asexuals, but you see, that's not how they do it. The Catholic Church, the people who vow to celibacy are sexually active people, and they promise not to have sex or engage in sex. So when they make that promise, it is after they have found out whether they're sexually active. If you're sexually inactive, you don't fit the bill to serve in the Catholic Church. Why? Because it's so easy for you. I mean, you're already asexual, so there's no temptation you are going through. There's no sacrifice you're making. You are sexual, so you're just there. But when you are sexual, not asexual, but when you are sexual, and then you take the vow of celibacy and you keep it like that, yes, then you've really served God, because you've taken a sacrifice. But now the other churches didn't do that, and what they did, they allowed their priests to marry and have children. Now, these include the Protestant churches and the Anglican Church. So they allowed marriage and all of these things. So when you notice this with the Anglican and Protestant churches, they have very few child sex scandals. Reason being, there is sexual liberty. There is some sexual liberty. And it is some, not all, because they don't allow homosexuality, some of them. Of course, the Lutherans and Methodists and other denominations have now accepted homosexuals, and they're even allowing homosexual couples to serve, which is very good. That is now full sexual liberation. I support that. And it's just a few, like the Anglican Church, they demand the homosexual clergy to be celibate, which is also impossible. And this is why the Anglican Church is also suffering loss of clergy and laity, because they are denying people from being themselves sexually. They are denying their homosexual members and clergy from being themselves. So that is the sad part that has happened in the Anglican Church. Now, and this is the same thing that's disturbing the Catholic Church. So the Catholic Church and the Anglican. Now, the Catholic Church, there is no marriage for the priests. So even theirs is worse than what's in the Anglican. Because in the Anglican, at least the straight people can marry, but the homosexuals can't marry. They are told to be celibate, of which I can't even believe. You can still have sex, because who is watching you? I mean, it's just a control measure put on you that don't do this. That's all. But in reality, people are having sex. I mean, look at the Catholic Church. They have the celibacy vows, but they're having the most sex scandals. Why? It's a sign that those vows don't work. So what do? You solve the problem, and you find the issue. Is it that you're teaching sexual repression, or you're teaching anti-sexuality, which is not good. You're teaching homophobia, which is not good. Because when you find the Catholic priests who are now being accused of all of these scandals, it's either they're bisexual, homosexual, or heterosexual. Yes, it's a fact that we are all sexual beings, and some of us are homosexual, some of us are bisexual, some of us are heterosexual. We either lie in all of those, and you'll find some priests have been accused for that. So what should happen? Of course, the Pope has already written a letter to say sorry, which is very good. He's asked, begging for apology from the church members who were molested, which is very good. But there needs to be action taken. This thing of talking, it's people are becoming sharp. That's what the Catholic Church needs to know. And the people are already knowing. Of course, even the Catholic Church has a system whereby once you're in the Catholic Church, you will never leave it, even whether you join another church. As long as you're baptized there, you're Catholic. The infant baptism is what binds people to the Catholic Church, and so wherever you go, you're still Catholic according to the Catholic system and doctrine. So what they need to do, in my view, I would just advise them, just allow sexual discuss about sexual liberation, sexual science. It is true. And meanwhile, there are also, in the priests, there are people who are sick, like the pedophile. If you're a pedophile priest, that is, if you're someone who molests a child, a prepubescent child, that's below the age of 12, then it means you have a mental issue. You have a mental problem. And so people need to look at that issue. That is there a way to know whether someone is prone to be a pedophile, or suffers from the disorder of pedophilia? Then maybe they will say such people will not serve as priests. That's what they would say. That's my view. So they would need to change how they get priests, the way they get priests. Then secondly, they need to allow sexual liberation in the church. Allow priests to marry. Those who want to marry, let them marry. Those who want to not to marry, let them not marry. Simple. So that there is, of course, it's diversity. Because what you're having is uniformity, that they want all the priests to be the same, all the fathers to be the same, all the cardinals to be the same, all the bishops to be the same. It's not like that. Nature is diverse. Humanity is diverse. As I've already told you, in all of those fathers, some are not straight, they are gay, and others are bi. So already that is diversity. So inculcate it and put the diversity inside it. The same to the other churches which are now very homophobic, and they do not allow gay clergy. No, there is clergy that is gay. They are people who love God and can serve God, and they will even serve the gay laity in your church with ease. You see, when you have a gay clergy, those act as a role model for the gay laity. But when you remove gay clergy from service, do you know what you've done? You're removing the gay laity. No wonder churches in Europe are empty, because they are not addressing the issue of sexuality and religion. That's why. And people, the European, the laity understands sexuality more than the clergy. And they see hypocrisy in them, and they can't stay in the church. Look at America. The millennials are leaving the churches. Millennials, these are the young people who are supposed to fill the churches. So what does that mean? In 30 years' time, America is going to be an atheist country because the ones who are attending church are around age 60 and they're about to die. By 2030 or 2040, these millennials who have not been going to church will not go to church. So what's going to happen? Mega churches are going to be empty. There are churches that will close down. So the debacle that is happening in Europe is going to happen in America. Why? Because there is no discussion of reality, sexual science. There is no consensus on what does religion say about sexuality and science, because science is the truth. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free." So, if the truth will make you free, what is the truth? The truth is science. Science is the truth. And what does science say? Science says that there is diversity in sexuality. Science says that when you feel like having sex, you should have it. Science says that people who are castrated may be less prone to having sex. Science says that both men and women have the same hormones, in the sense that both men have female hormones and women have male hormones. So basically, science is saying we are intersexual or we are unisexual, only that some are more male than others and some are more female than others. And there's a hierarchy of male sexuality and a hierarchy of female sexuality, whereby some people are feminine but they may not have a vagina, and some people are male but they don't have a penis but they are masculine, semenya. So these are the things the church needs to face and understand. Otherwise, it will be a story of let the sleeping dogs lie. Yeah. I mean, go to a church that respects science. Yes. And so, anyway, that's my 2 cents on the issue. How to solve the church sex scandals that are happening. Because even though now they're going to write the list of the molesters and post them, it will just pass, and then another year will come, and then we'll hear another scandal, and then we keep on hearing, and the pope changes and another pope comes in and then does the same thing. It's just cycles. I'm a progressive, so I think that's why I'm making some noise now.